Stay in touch with us on Facebook and Instagram at Younique Yet Connected. You are now listening to the 40th episode of Younique Yet Connected Podcast. The theme for this episode is, are you a social chameleon or not? Hello, brilliant souls in and around the world. Nolitha Kinga is my name. Tolokazi is my clan name. And this is episode 40, another milestone for us. A warm welcome to Younique Yet Connected Podcast, where we treat our episodes as mini workshops so we can best share the wisdom of systemic family constellations. We thank you for joining our movement of translating this wisdom into a practical language that all of us can easily understand, and most importantly, implement in our daily lives. The theme for this episode is, are you a social chameleon or not? Remember, when you comment, ask questions, like and share our content and links, you help us grow together. And there wouldn't be a podcast without you, myself, Kinga, Nick, the ones who came before us, and Bert Hellinger, the founder of the work that is most fulfilling for Kinga and I. And as always, Kinga is on the other side of the virtual. She's as excited as I am for our milestone. Hi, Kings.
Hi, Noli. Hello, dear listeners and co-editors. Yes, this is a milestone for us, 40th episode, and hopefully for you as well. And we really would like to ask you to keep sharing this knowledge because it can change lives for the better. And we would really like to thank you from the bottom of our heart for your contribution in helping us to be chosen into the top 10 South Africa Family Podcast by Beespot. You are our inspiration in building and opening up the theme about the laws of love and romantic relationships. Please continue to share your questions, comments, and insight on youniqueyetconnected@gmail.com and on WhatsApp 076-289-6670. We also have a monthly virtual connection circle, which you can join. It's every last Tuesday evening of the month. To receive your link, subscribe on our website, www.youniqueyetconnected.com, or check for updates on our social at Younique Yet Connected.
And if you're not the subscribing type, we have another option. Simply drop us a WhatsApp message so we can share the link with you. Our WhatsApp number again is 076-289-6670. We are still opening up the signs of codependent behavior. What has come up for me has humbled me. I must say, I no longer say to myself, nope, that codependent behavior is not for me. I let the episode reveal what's in it for me. And I've been unraveling for the past few episodes, and I'm still processing, and I think I'll still continue to process even after we finish the codependent phase. Dear listener, if you need support in any way during your processing time, remember we are here for you. Remember that Kinga works with the inner child constellations as well, so you can book a session and have a deeper look into your specific situation.
Yes, we are definitely here for you. And the last episode might have stirred up quite a deep emotional uphill or a little bit of a storm inside you. Just remember, you can contact us on whichever channel suits you best, via our website, email, WhatsApp, or drop us a message on our socials, and we will respond to you. We are here to answer your question in the best way we can. And just now going back to the episode, our 40th episode, we still looking into the signs of codependent behavior. We're looking through the list by Erika Swimley. And we already have established that codependency, we can have different level of codependency. So it can come different ways and varying levels. We also started to assess ourselves in the previous episodes. And the criteria is whether this feels very much like me, like a point what we're reading, or a little bit like me, or not at all like me. can scale them between 1 and 10, 1 being not at all like me and 10 exactly like me. You can pause the podcast and bring your notebook and do your leader evaluation. Or if you already done it because you listened to the list already, maybe quite a few times, just check in. If maybe your evaluation has changed as we progressing with our episode. So let's read through again the list and some signs of the codependent behavior.
I know you might be tempted maybe to think, oh yeah, I am good. I don't need to measure anything, but you might be surprised what can come up when you get into the episode with the intention to discover more about yourself. Let's continue to measure ourselves, dear listener. My pen and paper is right here. And let's fill into what comes up as we go through the list and the episode. Take it away, Kings.
We have worked with lacking boundaries between yourself and others, blurring lines in relationships. You struggle to see where you end and the other person begins, feeling low self-esteem, fearing rejection and abandonment. We worked through these points in episode 35, and you are welcome to go back to the episode to listen to them. Then in episode 36, we looked into apologizing or accepting blame to avoid conflict, being who someone else wants you to be, ignoring your own needs, putting other people's needs before your own. Then the next one took us 2 episodes to crack, episodes 37 and 38, anticipating and reacting to someone else's needs, which may be perceived accurately or not. And the previous episode, in episode 39, we started to talk about feeling like you have lost your sense of self. And this is a big one, so we haven't finished. So we're starting this episode still with feeling like you have lost your sense of self. And the rest of the list is as follows: needing to control, including making decisions for others or managing them. Doing things for people that make you feel uncomfortable just to make them happy. Taking on too much. Basing your mood on how someone else feels, not your own emotion. Resenting, not receiving appreciation for your actions.
Thank you, Kings, for that list. And in the last episode, we started to open up the point of feeling like you've lost your sense of self. In the last episode, you had a second question for us. Are you a social chameleon? And do you change your personality according to the group of people you are with?
The first one, the previous episode, we talked about this emptiness, and that is really a big one. So much so that it can lead us to take our own life. But there is also when we drastically change our personality according to social surrounding, and you are like a little chameleon. You become like this and then you become like that, and you can see that you are feeling the emptiness that was created by losing yourself with the fake rose, these created fake rose. The other thing that can happen is that you might believe that you are unlovable as a person. And there is no way for you to change your personality in the way that you are going to become lovable and interesting enough that people want to be with you. Absolutely believe that no one on this planet wants to be with you. There is nothing inside you that other people want to be with.
That is the sad one. And it reminds me of the teenage phase, because it feels like being a social chameleon starts there. It can easily start there without being recognized, because there are certain things I recognize in myself with this. Not necessarily personality change, but when people are not accepting you or you are not like them, your personality seems a little weird, or you're a little bit off. You're just like, oh, okay, let me be cool, and hang out with these people and do the things that these people are doing. But then those things are not you. So I think that's the point where I was, and I only recognized this in my 20s, when I was like, I really didn't like that thing I did, when I was younger with those people. I was not me and I knew it. Why did I do it? And then I realized that I wanted to be socially accepted.
This emptiness of adolescence is a very interesting stage of our identity development. It starts when we reach puberty and then only finishes in our mid-20s or to late 20s. This is the time when we go over all that we had learned about ourselves as a child growing up and create from it an image of who we are as an adult person. As with every development stage, adolescence also has a so-called ego power which we can create, a quality that makes us strong and well-developed character. The power of adolescence is loyalty. We often see with teenagers that today they get involved with this crowd and then the next day with another. From the outside, they don't even try to think about this is my crowd or not. They just go from this to the other. This behavior has a very valid reason behind it. They are experimenting with the big question, who am I? What are my real values? Where should I put my boundaries down? So why is the ability of being loyal so important in our life? Because this is the age when we decide what will be our profession and we study for it. We get into relationships, get married, later on have children. For all of this, we need the ego power to stay with what we have committed to, even when the going gets tough. Adolescence is the culmination of all the developments that happened before. If our development was kind of healthy and at the end of this stage, we will walk away from our parents' care to become self-sustaining adults with a firm own identity. In case we grew up to be codependent from one or both of our parents, this separation will not happen. Our identity is the reflection of our parents, either the same or the opposite, but still a reflection. Obviously, even when our identity developed in a healthy way, we still bring elements of the identity of the people who formed its creation in the first place. But in this case, we are confident enough in our own identity that we choose between the traits that we want to integrate in who we are and what we want to live with our parents. Going back to your example as an adolescent, it is part of the normal development to experiment, to change, to practice to the different versions of us to be able to decide who we really want to be as a person.
So this applies to like an adult person when you're looking at your adult life. So, I mean, the question now, as an adult, the question I'm asking, do you change different social circumstances or pressures? And I've seen a couple of people in this situation who are adults now, not teenagers, are defeated, even though they can pinpoint this feeling that they keep hopping or they change with the different social settings. And do you have anything they can do to start feeling their sense of self? And also, if a person is not aware that they are in this space, what are some of the questions that can help with checking in with themselves?
Because the core reason with the codependency is the same. The original pain of not being loved for who we are will force us to turn outside and create a persona separate from ourselves. And mistakenly we start to believe that this persona is our real self, but deep down we know that it is not true. Because the self is concealed from us and being abandoned by us, in its place we feel a void or emptiness. And the best way to work on codependency issues is to do deep inner child development work as an adult. This work helps us to rediscover our original self and to let it fill our void from the inside, which means that as we move through the development stages and rebuild them, so we can harvest our powers, also at the same time we are building firm foundation and identity for ourselves. There are comprehensive exercises for every development stage that gently change our flawed inner picture to a everyone. This process is a minimum of 6 sessions, and not everyone is ready to go so deep right at the beginning. Also, inner child work, you can do a little bit, but it's not something that you can do on your own. So what can we do without the help of the facilitator? We can start to explore the big questions. Who am I when I'm not looking myself through the eyes of my mother? Who am I when I'm not looking at myself through the eyes of my father or my teacher, my first lover? Who am I in these people's eyes, meaning all the things that they used to say to us about who we are? Write down both the good and the bad opinions you got from these very important people. So I thought, okay, let me bring like an example, and let me bring in myself as an example. I was told a lot in my childhood that I was a very pushy child, and some people who still know me from my adolescent and young adult age still consider me pushy. First, I tried to expel pushiness from me, like that was my solution. But later, when I got through the disappointment of being considered not such a pleasant person and started to make peace with this side of me, I stopped looking at it through the eyes of the people who found it uncomfortable. And hopefully the change of view and use of my forces will make me a formidable person who has the strength to make her opinion known, but also the wisdom to accept that other people also have the right to their opinion. Also to allow and accept the flow of life even when it seems to be going against my wishes. Now I see myself assertive and not as a pushy person. I don't have to win every fight for my dreams to come true.
What a profound way of looking at it. So you've decided on a different approach instead of fighting against it. I like what you said. I don't have to win every fight for my dreams to come true.
But still, my original pushiness had to change, transform. Because before I started to work on it and work myself through the development stages and doing the inner work that was needed, my solution to deal with the pushiness was try to push down the pushiness into oblivion. Did my solution work? Not permanently. What happened? The pushiness would still come out, but it would come out with a force. And when it comes out, it's not diplomatic at all. I was 100% convinced that my opinion is the only right one, and it must be followed. And the other person is now opposing me and the right way of doing things, so according to my right way of doing things. The question to ask, what could be the reason behind for a child to become pushy? As a child, we don't feel supported. We didn't feel supported. There was no support when we needed it most, and we had to fight for ourselves. But we were not really equipped for the fight. We were too little and vulnerable at that stage. We never learned how to fight in the right way for the right reasons, and we ended up over-fighting to cover up our perceived weakness. When we heal our rested childhood emotions, we learn how and when to say affirmative yes or no to a situation.
So profound, Kings. And this is interesting because I'm also reflecting on the fact that people say I talk too much. So when you talk about trying to push something down and then it erupts in an explosion, I relate. After a couple of explosions, I also decided, well, I'm a conversationalist. I love to share and listen to other people's hearts and souls in conversations, and that might not work for everyone. So instead of suppressing myself and forcing conversations with other people, I accepted and respected that people's preferences and wiring are different. So now I'm learning to assess the place, time, and people, and accept that some people just, are not there, and it's okay.
The most important is the allowance for your part to show you the incredible richness it can bring into your life, and it is not forced into a rigid role. I recognized in myself that I have an affinity to teaching, maybe because my mom wanted to be a teacher. Am I trying to live her dream? the question I had to ask myself to get the answer, is teaching something which is very far from me and it doesn't give me any satisfaction? Is it something I'm just doing, but it doesn't fulfill me? And then I realized that, yes, it was her dream. It started with her or with someone who came even before her. But it became my dream as well. And it is something which feeds my soul.
Part of you that resonates with teaching. I hear that.
Yes, that I would like to share.
I know a teenager who was fighting so hard to prove her mother wrong about what her mother recognized in her as her talent and skill in computer-related studies. So she felt so annoyed by her mother's efforts and encouragement for her to pursue computer science because she was so frustrated and fixated on improving her mother wrong so much that she couldn't embrace what her mother saw in her. And she tried to suppress her interest in computer science. So when I heard this and I was having a conversation with her, and I mean, I've experienced this and I did my best to show her that she shouldn't fight all of what her mom sees in her because there could be some nuggets of truth in it. I told her, I don't know you as well as your mother and as well as you know yourself, but I've seen how great you are and how you can be great in computer-related studies. So don't fight it because you don't want to be your mom or you don't want to be like your mom or whatever. So just find something in it. And I hope she heard. Yeah.
Yes, let's hope she heard you. Nurture the parts you like and develop a loving relationship with the ones you would like to transform. This is true for your own parts, but it's also true to the ones you inherited from your parents. The parts inherited from the parents, when we embrace it, can come in, often in a different form, like we talked about the teaching, then maybe our mom imagined it. But in its essence, this is still the same dream in a different form. When you look at this dream like that, then you can really start to love this part and make it your own, even if it didn't originate in you.
Yeah, because look at you. You're not a classroom teacher, but you're still a teacher in your line of work.
Yes, on a certain way, yes, I am. And I would like to take this opportunity to have a look at the best practical approach to our part. Let's say you meet a part of you, a behavior of you suddenly that you don't like or even despise. Try to look beyond what is happening and try to feel into it, where it could possibly come from. And I know it might sound a little bit weird, but just close your eyes and ask yourself what you see. Maybe you see a little girl or a little boy, or maybe you see your grandmother. When you suddenly think about this thing, this behavior that you don't like, you can have this little aha moment that somehow this behavior came down to me from my grandmother, and automatically your relationship will change with this part. Even if you don't want that behavior any longer, you can learn to love it because it came down to you from your grandmother.
Oh my goodness, I know exactly what you are talking about. My maternal grandmother was very feisty, loud, and very confrontational. She was even considered rude and inappropriate. And for the longest time, I wanted to shut those traits in me, that resembled her seemingly negative side. But where I am now, I've come to, I guess since started doing the work, this work, the systemic work, I've come to embrace that feistiness and boldness of hers. I'm not expressing it in the way she expressed it. My way is more like not following the crowd, not conforming to certain things, and owning myself completely. For me, that is my feistiness and boldness.
Yeah, it sounds like you integrated this fault beautifully in the best possible way.
Yes, bringing out the best version of me in the best possible way, thanks to the work.
To the parents out there, it is very important to only compare the children to a family member in a good way. More often than not, with the best of intention and out of educational reasons, parents often tell the children that they see bad qualities from a family member in them. How many of us heard that just like your useless father or you lazy like your mother's family? We are rarely compared in a way that you are just as talented in drawing like your grandfather, or I love your feistiness from your grandmother. So maybe this is the key, that what you are seeing in the child depends on the parent. There is a choice to look for the merits instead of the faults in the child, to love all the good things you see in the child. Normally, children want to please their parents, so they will make an extra effort to give the parents the part which they love and appreciate.
Yes, they will be learning to shine those best parts of themselves more and recognize who they truly are.
So let's say the child has a temper. So instead of saying that, you are just as impatient as your uncle, you can say that we are, all of us, get impatient sometimes. It's okay.
Yes, it's okay.
And there is not a single person who never got angry in their life. With understanding that we cannot always avoid getting angry, anger becomes something which is not a negative thing, but a part of life. Handling anger doesn't need extra attention any longer. It can step off from the center of the stage.
Oh, yes, I like that. Take it off the center of the stage.
There is not a single person who doesn't get impatient.
Yes, I know I do, at most times.
It is part of life. It just depends. If the parents choose to keep on saying to the child that you are an impatient person, the child is going to believe them and make it his identity. I am an impatient person because everyone tells me so, and I can't do anything about it. This is my identity.
That is so true, Kings. And most identities we have created of ourselves are based on negative labels that the adults in our lives shone a spotlight on. Imagine what children could become if they were watered and nurtured with love and kindness. This has been another revealing and amazing episode. It revealed a lot that I had forgotten about, residues and some of my active codependent traits, as well as made me appreciate some of the traits I've healed and still healing from. Dear listener, we also hope this episode will be helpful to you in your journey of transformation. Please do share the episodes and help the next person. Kings, what can we expect in episode 41?
I'm looking forward to this next episode, needing to control, including making decisions for others or managing them. This sounds like something that is difficult to put down, or maybe I'm just talking about myself. Remember, if you feel like you are experiencing limiting patterns or relationship issues and would like to have an individual session, book a family constellation session with us on our website, www.youniqueyetconnected.com, or on socials, Facebook or Instagram. Our handle on both platforms is @youniqueyetconnected.
I don't think you're the only one at all, my friend. So episode 41 is going to be an interesting one for both of us so far. And thank you so much for listening to our 40th episode. And another big thank you to Nick Mons from That Guy Productions for making us sound fabulous and on point. Our 41st episode is in 2 weeks' time from now. Tune in on the 3rd of March, 2024 from 10 a.m. South African Standard Time. And remember, our episodes are forever green, and you can still find them at any time you like on the various platforms. Check out our social media to where you can find our episode. And thank you for showing us love on Facebook and on Instagram. Remember, our handle is @Younique Yet Connected, and Younique spelled YOUNIQUE. Thank you for the new followers that we've received. We've been noticing. And stay unique, stay connected, and remember, you are one of a kind. You can only create a really meaningful podcast together. Siyabulela, Kosanam, till the next episode.
Thank you. Kusunam, siyabulela. See you next time.